The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to the DigitalEdge Virtual Bidders Conference for the Invitation to Bid ESD 112-DE-15A for Chromebooks and related solutions. I am Bunny Stevens, the Coordinator for Digital Learning Services.
And I'm Debbie Shergi, the Director of Digital Learning Services and DigitalEdge.
And we're glad that you could join us this morning. I want to go over a few Thank you. I want to go over a few basic items about the webinar. First, if you're connecting through your computer audio, please select the Use Mic and Speakers. If you're connecting via telephone, select the telephone and call the number listed and enter the access code and PIN numbers that are provided. Some other helpful hints during a webinar is the arrow that will reduce your control panel on the right-hand side of your screen so you can see the full screen as we are showing it. Also, the question panel that is here at the bottom of the control panel is where you're going to enter any questions. Feel free, as questions come to your mind through the webinar, to go ahead and enter them in. We will be addressing the questions, however, at about 11:45. That's our time on our agenda to address them. But go ahead and enter them as they come to mind, and please reference the page number and the item number if applicable. Also, if you have problems with connecting, you can enter in any questions or any assistance that you may need at this point. Why are we offering this Virtual Bidders Conference? The key sections that we're going to emphasize in this Bidders Conference are for the invitation to bid. It's extremely important to review the invitation to bid and the contract and the documents prior to submitting your bid, so you have a good understanding of everything that is expected once the invitation to bid becomes a contract. We are also going to review the bid forms, and this will assist in demonstrating the preparation of the bid forms for the bid. The virtual webinar is beneficial to potential bidders by providing an opportunity to have questions answered regarding the content of the invitation to bid. And following the invitation to bid, I will post all the questions and answers onto the website. So everything that is asked today and answered will be posted. I hope that you have downloaded and reviewed the invitation to bid, the bid forms, and the contract and all documentations prior to this webinar, and that you have the documentations with you. We will be showing some of them through the webinar, but it is helpful if you have them. The purchasing landscape for this invitation to bid. In June 2013, we launched a new contract for wireless mobile devices, and this was our invitation to bid that ended with the 13A. These numbers actually on the invitation to bid, they reference to the page that to the year that the invitations to bid were written. So the 13A was written in 2013, and it was for the launch of the wireless mobile devices. Since then, we have launched a few more contracts for wireless mobile devices. These are the 14A and the 14B contracts. In the last 2 years, the Chromebooks have been the primary device purchased across the board. Over 30,000 units have sold through the DigitalEdge contracts, which equates to over $7.4 million in sales. Our challenge now is that there are new manufacturers and models that have emerged since then, and we have no way to get these makes and models onto the DigitalEdge contracts.
So let's stay there and let them take a screen snapshot of that, because that might be important information for them as they consider whether they want to offer a bid in response to this.
Great suggestion. If you want to take a screen snapshot, please feel free. So this 15A will provide us with more longevity and flexibility going forward to add the Chromebooks and wireless devices onto the contracts. For a list of helpful materials that we're going to be going through, what the comprehensive contract includes are several parts. The first part is the invitation to bid, which is part 1 of 2. And this includes in the back, starting on page 21, the appendices that are required as to be submitted with the bid, which we will discuss later on in the broadcast as well. The contract, which is part 2 of 2, this outlines contract-specific information, including post-award requirements, and this will be covered in depth when we get to the Mandatory Awarded Bidders Conference, or webinar, excuse me. And a single set of bid forms for this invitation to bid is the other key piece for the comprehensive contract. The invitation to bid and the single set of bid forms are the two sections that we are going to be mainly focusing on for this webinar because they relate directly with the invitation to bid and our discussions. Moving on to the timeline, if you want to follow along with this, it is on page 4 of the invitation to bid. I'm going to provide you with an overview for the timeline. So today is our virtual webinar. On Friday is the last day, Friday, May 1st, is the last day for bidders to submit questions. These questions will be answered by the 4th, which is Monday. That's the last day that I will have them on the web page. It is also the last day for us to have any addenda to be added to the DigitalEdge web page. And as outlined in your invitation to bid, all addenda needs to be reviewed and the pages signed and submitted with your bid.
So, Bunny, let's stop and just clarify there. When you say it's the last day for the questions to appear on the web page, it's not that they're not going to appear after that. It's that no new questions will be added to the web page after May 4th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Correct. And following May 4th, the next important date to remember is May 19th. Tuesday at 4:30 is when the bids are due to ESD 112. That's the absolute latest. Anything that is received after 4:30 p.m. on the 19th will be rejected. As mentioned in the invitation to bid, an email to send to myself to let me know that you are submitting a bid is appreciated. And we do recommend that you get the bids in prior to this time.
We do date and timestamp the arrival of the bids, and it is an official part of being a responsive bidder. And so 4:30 is the very last time that our timestamper will verify that we've received all of the bids that we can evaluate, right?
Correct. And on the 20th is the public bid opening at ESD 112 at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. And then following the bid opening, we begin our bid evaluation. Our end date for the bid evaluation we are hoping to achieve by the 28th of May. And then on Friday, the 29th of May, the letters of intent to award will be sent out to the bidders that will be awarded. If you want to take a moment and do a screen snapshot of this calendar before I proceed to June, please feel free. I'll allow you a few moments. Okay, and following the letters of intent, we have the protest period for 5 days, the first week in June. At 5 o'clock on Friday, the 5th of June, the final letters of award, if all protests have been resolved, will be sent out to the awarded bidders. Following this, we will have the mandatory meetings for awarded bidders on June 9th, the afternoon from 1 to 3 Pacific time, and June 10th from 10 to 12 in the morning Pacific time. It's recommended that you block these dates on your calendar now, so then you have that free for one of those sessions. That meeting will go over the contract and the post-award requirements. Then all post-award documents are due to myself by 5 o'clock on the 16th, and this allows me time to get the website updated and get everything that I need from you prior to the bid launching on the 22nd of June, which is, Debbie and I know this is a fast track, but we want to get this bid launched as soon as possible to try to capitalize on the peak buying season. And again, if you want to take a snapshot of this screen, I will wait a few moments for you to do so. Okay, next I'm going to cover the highlights from the invitation to bid on the scope of work. If you would like to open your invitation to bid to page 5, I'm also going to pull it up on the computer on the website, so please bear with me a moment here. I'm sure you are all getting familiar with our website as well. Okay, so in the scope of work, this is the section that I am on that I'm going to cover first. In the scope of work, this invitation to bid requests the most competitive prices from manufacturers and authorized resellers or agents who can create a comprehensive custom catalog of Chromebooks and related solutions for purchasers who are eligible to use the DigitalEdge contract. Bidders shall submit no more than one bid for their comprehensive catalog and shall include all their offers in that bid. This invitation to bid strives to achieve two goals: to expand the list of the Chromebooks and the related solutions available through a competitive contract, and to increase the efficiency of the procurement process for eligible purchasers by providing them a list of vendors who have been awarded contracts for their custom catalogs through this competitive bid process. The catalog categories for the desired solutions, these are reflected on the tabs that are on the worksheets for the bid form. I'm going to go through these catalog categories. The Chromebook, the first tab in the worksheet is the Chromebook and the related solutions. We are requesting a custom catalog of Chromebooks and related solutions that may include but is not limited to the following products: Chromebooks, Chromeboxes, monitors, keyboards, and Chrome OS accessories. Bidders who make offers on the Chromebooks and related solutions will make offers for the Chrome and management license. The white glove services, the bidders who make offers on the Chromebooks and related solutions, as described above, shall make offers on white glove services, including but not limited to auto enrollment, asset tagging, etc. The third-party carts by bidders of Chromebooks and related solutions. Again, bidders who make offers on the Chromebook and related solutions shall make offers on third-party carts and cart accessories.
Bunny, can we stop and just talk about that for a second here?
Yes.
Okay. So what we want to be really clear about is these 4 items right here that I've highlighted. And I know it makes it hard to see, but I'll unhighlight them in a minute. But the sections of requested products for the desired solutions in sections 1.1 through 1.4. If a bidder bids on any one of those 4 items, they must bid on all of them, all of those 4 items. You cannot only offer white glove services if you do not offer Chromebooks or Chrome management licenses or third-party cards. In order to be an eligible bidder of any of these 4 solutions, you have to be a bidder of all of them, or you have to offer all of them. Okay, now that section, sections 1.1 through 1.4, they're their own category. They're going to, on the bid forms, they're going to be represented with green tabs. We'll see those in a while. Starting with 1.5, that's a whole other part of the bid forms, and Bunny will talk to you about those as well. But just remember, on 1.1 to 1.4, if you offer any of those solutions, you have to be able to offer all of them, and you must offer all of them.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. As Debbie mentioned, those sections are highlighted on the bid forms with the green tabs. Beginning with section 1.5, these next sections are highlighted with orange tabs. So 1.5 is for the third-party cards by non-bidders of the Chromebooks and the related solutions. Extended warranties is the next tab on the bid sheets. And the third-party wireless LAN solutions, bidders may make offers on wireless solutions that provide users access to internet, etc. On the bid tab, marked third-party wireless LAN solutions. Third-party smarter balanced testing solutions, bidders may make offers on the high-quality accessories and solutions that are used for the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium's testing. And we provided you with the website here if you need to know specifications. The management platforms for Google Apps for education is another tab listed for the categories we're requesting. And additional third-party solutions and services for Chrome OS devices. Bidders may make offers on accessories, software, and other Chrome-related solutions and services not listed elsewhere in this bid.
So I'd like to talk a little bit more about 1.9, the management platforms. Those are specifically for Google Apps for Education. You probably all have heard of the product called Hapara, and another related product is Interact. We're looking for those products that help teachers manage and interact with their students within the Google Apps for Education environment. So just keep that in mind for 1.9. And were you going to say anything else about how these 1.5 through 110, they don't have to bid on the previous ones in order to?
Correct. Yeah. 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 So as we mentioned here, these 1.1, 1.4 are marked on the sheets with the green tabs, and 1.5 through 1.10 are designated with the orange tabs. As outlined down below here, in the bidders section, it recaps what we were mentioning previously. 2.1 says bidders that make offers on Chromebooks and related solutions by a single manufacturer shall make offers on Chrome management licenses, white glove services, and third-party cards. These are all the tabs that are mentioned in the green. 2.2, bidders that don't make offers on the Chromebooks may still make offers on solutions in the categories described in paragraphs 1.5 to 1.10. The next section, 3.0, I'm going to go to our web page again. Oh, sorry, another section of the web page. Like I said earlier, I'm sure you are all getting very familiar with the web page. But this recaps, as I talk about the contracts. In section 3.0, the status of our DigitalEdge contracts is mentioned. And we currently have 4 different contracts that are awarded. The 12 contract is going to expire on December 31st of this year. The 13A contract will expire on August 31st of 2015. And 14A and 14B will expire on December 31st of this year. These contracts awarded DigitalEdge vendors that are on these contracts are advised to submit bids for the 15A Chromebooks and related solutions, which will produce a contract for eligible purchasers to purchase for the Chromebooks and related solutions. All right, bear with me a moment while I get back to my page I was on here. And this is outlined in 3.0 on page 6. The operating systems, DigitalEdge is only seeking bids on the Chrome operating systems for this invitation to bid. Offers on Android and Windows operating systems will not be accepted or awarded, but may be requested in future invitation to bids. The contract period for the invitation to bid 15A, the terms for this contract, we have the option to extend the contract for 3, 6, or 12-month increments, or until the contract no longer meets the 2 goals outlined in the scope of work. So we have covered the catalog categories, the bidders, the status of the DigitalEdge contracts for the Chromebooks, the operating systems, and the contract period. Now in the instructions for bidding, which is on page 7 of your invitation to bid, in part 1, the section for instructions for bidding, in part 1, the bidder shall provide one and only one set of documents from the appendices that I mentioned that are on page 21, and this information will provide information about your company and your ability to carry out the post-award requirements, the terms and conditions of the DigitalEdge contract as outlined in the contract, and provide information about your participation in the contract, promote the DigitalEdge contract as a vehicle for their purchasing education technology needs, and abide by the terms and conditions of the invitation to bid. Section 2.0, Debbie will cover when she does her overview of the bid forms later on in the broadcast. The instructions for submitting bid materials on page 11. Let me go back here so you can. Sorry, bear with me a moment. So the bidder, for submitting their bid materials, part 1 outlines the 3-ring binder. Each bidder will submit one and only one 3-ring binder, and included in the 3-ring binder are the tabs, which again refer to the appendices that are located on page 21, beginning on page 21 of this invitation to bid. The first tab will be the bidder's qualification form, which is Appendix A. The second tab is the non-collusion form, which is Appendix B. Tab 3 is the offer and acceptance form, which is Appendix C. And please remember to send 2 original signed copies. So at the end of the process, the awarded bidder will have a copy of an originally signed document, and we will have one on our files as well. And tab 4, which is the signed addenda. If we have any addendas that are posted to the website, this prompts you to complete the form on page 1 of all addenda and submit it with your binder. And as outlined, you'll have a required CD or flash drive, that will need to be submitted on these as well. The 5th tab is the bidder's current business license and the federal ID number. Please note that the federal ID number is only required if the bidder is from a nonprofit organization. And Debbie will cover the packaging that's listed on section 2.0 when she does her presentation later on. So the final, before we get into the next section here, the final thing that I wanted to comment on was in regards to the contract and how important it is for you to review the contract prior to submitting your bid, to go through and review the authorization and background sections, which are listed on page 3, and important information for the bidders that is also listed on page 6. We won't cover these in depth on this webinar, but it is also very important information that you should review prior to submitting your bid. And as mentioned previously, when we have our awarded bidders webinar, the post-award section of the contract will be covered at that point. All right, we're going ahead of schedule. I always talk a little faster than I think I'm going to. So we are going to now review the questions that have been submitted, and feel free to submit as we go through. And again, please reference the page and the section number that you're referencing the invitation to bid. We will prioritize the questions by answering the ones that have not been asked yet. And I want to interject here that questions that have been asked up to this point are posted on our website under the 15A invitation to bid page that I was on previously. At the bottom of that is a question and answer section.
Why don't you, I'm going to get a little arrow right there that brings the window.
Thank you. Okay, give us a moment while we review these.
So the first question that has come in is, will a copy of the presentation be provided to participants? And the answer to that is, we're not going to mail it out, but we are recording this webinar, and we will provide a link to it on the invitation to bid website. Is that right?
Yes, it will also be available through Twitter, Facebook, and it will be also on the DigitalEdge app through the YouTube link.
How many vendors will we choose? I will discuss that during the evaluation section this is Debbie, and when I talk about how bids will be evaluated. How many vendors will we choose? We're not going to only choose one vendor. We're going to evaluate all competitive bids, and if a bid is competitive as defined in our invitation to bid, then we will look for the bidder who is the lowest bidder as per our definition of the lowest bidder. And I'll talk about that in a little while. So thank you for the question, and if you'll just hang tight, we'll come back and answer that. $1.9. What two options you mentioned? 1.9. Okay, what? We have a question, I'm not sure I understand it, something about section 1.9, so we're looking for that, probably in the scope of work.
The management platform 1.9,
What is the question?
1.9.
What two options? I don't know who wrote this question, but it's worded like this, 1.9, and then there are some misspellings, something about what two options you mentioned. So if that person could rewrite that question so that we can better understand it, that'd be great. Thank you. Do you want us to bid on Hapara and the other solution or not? That is everybody's option. You get to decide whether or not you do bid on it. We are requesting it, and we would like to see bids on it. Please tell again what 2 options you mentioned for teachers during this webinar. Oh, okay. I think that's what that first question was referring to. Yes, 1.9 on page 6. Earlier I talked about 2 management platforms for Google Apps for Education. One is Hapara, H-A-P-A-R-A, and the other one is called Interact. And those are 2 that we know of. There might be more out there, but we're seeking offers on management platforms specifically for Google Apps for Education. And those are 2 examples. Can a related solution also be a protective cover? And Bunny and I are in agreement, absolutely. Anything that improves or extends or enhances the use of a Chrome OS device, whether that's a Chromebook or a Chromebox, a related solution will extend or enhance or improve the performance of that solution. What is the percentage of district schools that utilize the contracts through DigitalEdge? We know that in the state of Washington, 3/4 of our school districts use it, and we also know that in other states, several school districts use it. We don't have the data on that right now, but we do know the number of schools that have signed interlocal agreements. And I want to stop and talk about that a little bit because it's relative to this question. Many states, if not all, require the school districts to either put out their own competitive bid after they've reached a certain threshold of purchasing, and they have that option, or they can piggyback off of another competitively bid contract. So we encourage districts in the 12 states that we serve through the DigitalEdge to examine their own purchasing laws and determine whether or not they need to sign an interlocal agreement with us. We don't police that. The burden is on them to determine whether or not they need to sign a contract and to make sure that they have signed a contract if they need to. But we do know that we have purchasers all over the 12 states that are purchasing off the digital contract. Obviously, we're a Washington-based organization, so most of our purchases, most of the purchases that come through the DigitalEdge are from within Washington, but there are a fair amount that come from other states as well. Unfortunately, we don't have the number or percentage.
But just to expand on that, DigitalEdge operates in 12 states, and if you look on the website, we do have specific information in regards to, out of those 12 states, the school districts that have applied for interlocal agreements. But this does not mean that only those districts that have applied for interlocal agreements have purchased off the contract or can. For instance, in California, there aren't very many that have needed by their governing laws to apply for an interlocal agreement. So they don't go hand in hand as far as if you are going to purchase, you need to have the interlocal agreement. Like Debbie said, it is up to them to check their governing laws and determine if they need it prior to purchasing.
Kindly spell 2 options you mentioned for teachers during the webinar. Okay, so we're back to 1.9 on page 6, and I think I did that. Hapara is H-A-P-A-R-A, And interact is, I believe, just like it sounds, I-N-T-E-R-A-C-T, I believe. Page 6, 1.9. Did you mean to say you wanted, or did you want Hapara or other solutions that are not specifically Google? Well, for 1.9 on page 6, we're looking for management systems for the Google Apps for Education environment. And if you offer some kind of a solution for a Windows environment or an Android environment, or, you know, and it's not specifically for a Google Apps for Education environment, we will reject that. We're looking specifically for management platforms for Google Apps for Education. What is the previous contract value? Provide estimates. Bunny, do you remember what that was? Was it, what was it, 78 billion, not billion, I'm sorry, million? 78 million?
The previous contract value, the DigitalEdge contracts through last month was 82 million is the volume that we have produced through last month for DigitalEdge contracts. That takes all 4 contracts into account.
Yeah, and those aren't all Chromebook
Those are not
related
all Chromebooks.
contracts, and that's over the period of 10, 11, 12, 13 years. So,
but 7.4 million is just Chromebooks alone, and that is since June of 2013.
okay, good. That's the best we can do, right?
That's the best we can do.
Okay.
I mean, I have recaps for the from the cards and everything, but hopefully that answers your questions.
And I think Bunny did provide the number of Chromebooks that had been purchased through the contracts in one of your first screens, didn't you, Bunny?
I did.
And you allowed time for people to take screen snaps of that?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
You want to go back and can you find those numbers?
Okay.
Are they in your they in your notes or?
They are.
Okay.
So the grand total of Chromebook sales alone since June of 2013 was over 30,000 units. It was 30,432, and the sales for Chromebooks alone was 7,394,000
Dollars.
And that is again just from June 2013 to current.
Need to know sales volume for last year. So we have an interested bidder who needs to know the sales volume for last year. So we cannot provide that right now, nor can we take the time to find it, but we will put that down as a question, and we will put that question and its answer on the website.
Yes.
And this particular asker just wants to know the sales volume for last year.
And I can tell you that it is going to be around 13 million.
Okay.
Because, yes, it's going to be around 13 million, but I will answer that more specifically on the website.
Okay, good. Is there a format for a manufacturer to bid on parts of a bid and then assign resellers to fulfill, i.e. carts or Chromebooks? Is there a format for a manufacturer to bid on parts of a bid and then assign resellers to fulfill? Yes.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, if you, I want to kind of have you put this in the back of your brain for later on in this webcast. There will be 4 green tabs at the bottom of the bid forms. If you're a manufacturer and you provide, if you make offers on your Chromebooks, as a manufacturer, you also have to be able to offer white glove services, the carts, and the Chrome OS. And that's going to be difficult for a manufacturer to do all that because Chrome OS is a Google product.
Correct. And those are the ones that are mentioned on the green tabs.
Right.
The first
Right.
four.
The first four tabs. If you're a manufacturer, though, that wants to bid on the solutions requested with the orange tabs, then yes, you can make offers on the requested items on the orange tabs and then assign that to manufacturers.
Correct. And the one thing to note, and Debbie will cover that when she goes through the bid as well, but when you get to the orange tabs, it's different from the green tabs in that if you bid on one, you don't have to bid on all of the orange tabs. Right. They are tied back to being a total group like the green tabs.
Good point, Bunny. Good point. Okay. Lots of questions are coming in. 1.7. All right. I think that's probably 1.7 on page 5 or 6. Let's see if we can get there.
The additional specs on the wireless requirements. Since the wireless line.
Okay. I'm looking for that.
So 1.7 is on page 6.
Right. You know, we didn't write really tight specs on this because our focus is on the Chromebooks and related solutions. If you have wireless solutions that provide access to the Chromebook, from the Chromebooks to the internet, then those are solutions that we will look at and entertain and award if they provide that kind of access. Okay, so that's the best we can do. Oh, you know your products and you know if they meet. That's our requirement. You know, as opposed to a spec.
But you are required to submit specification sheets
Yes.
with your bids for the products.
That's a good distinction. Is the meeting on June 9th or 10th an on-site, in-person meeting? Do you want to answer that?
We do it as a webinar, similar to this format. If you are interested in coming in person, you can do that. But we do this as a webinar, and we find that is usually the easiest for everyone to connect.
Is this webinar strictly to review and discuss only the Chromebook invitation to bid, no other product categories? That is correct. This webinar is strictly focused on invitation to bid number ESD 112-DE-15A, which focuses on Chromebooks and related solutions. Will you be comparing apples and oranges for bid evaluation if one vendor provides a protective cover and the other doesn't? Good question. And again, I'm not quite at that point in the webinar yet where I'm going to talk about bid evaluation. So if you can just hang tight, and when I'm talking about the bid evaluation, I'll try to answer that. If I don't, then ask the question again.
Good.
Okay? It could be difficult to provide most competitive pricing when we have to factor in 1.5% administration fee. Do the best you can. That's all I can say. We do require the 1.5 administration fee, and we have to require that in order to support our operation here. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the webcast. But yeah, I know I've been hearing that for a couple of years, and we're sensitive to it. And for that reason, in our other contracts, we either require 2.5 or 3.0% administration fee. But in this particular environment where we're requesting bids on Chromebooks and wireless devices in the Chrome OS environment, it is 1.5% that we require.
I would like to interject, though, here one thing that we will cover in the post-award section, and you can go ahead and review that as well, which we recommend. As with our current contracts, when a awarded vendor has a large sale that's over $50,000, we do provide the option for them to apply for a lower admin fee. And this is spelled out in the post-award section, which is a great benefit. There's many times where there is a sale that's over $50,000, and we feel that that's a good base to have it at, and those applications for administration fee reduction requests should be filed to take advantage of it.
Good, good. Something that's related to that too is that our contract allows you, if you're an awarded bidder, to bundle individual items that have been awarded and provide even more cost savings to the purchaser and increase your likelihood of a sale. So I know that for the Chromebooks, 1.5 admin fee might be a challenge, but if you bundle it with maybe the carts or the other solutions, and that's why we're asking for catalog bids, is to provide you the flexibility to do that, then it might offset that admin fee a little bit. So. Can you define the single unit stipulations as it pertains to bundling parts and equipment? Single unit stipulations as it pertains to bundling parts and equipment. I'm not sure I understand that question.
Sure, let me do it either.
When I see or hear the word single unit, and in the context of the invitation to bid, what we're asking for on your bid forms is pricing for a single unit of any solution that you offer, knowing fully well that if you're awarded, you can sell in bundles or volume or whatever. And remember, a single unit can be a unit with a single SKU. So if you have a 10-pack of Chromebooks with a single SKU, that's considered a single unit. And the product name is 10-pack. So maybe that's answering the question. I'm hoping it is. I don't know for sure because I don't really understand the question. So if the person who wrote that question wants to clarify, that's fine. Or if you want to write to Bunny after this particular webinar and clarify your question, then we'll put the response, the updated response on the website.
And if you have a section in the contract or the invitation to bid that you are referring, please include that as well. Okay. That concludes our questions and answers section. There have been no more questions submitted. We will have another question and answer section at the end of the broadcast following Debbie's discussion regarding the bid forms. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. There. So we're going to break for 10 minutes, and we will come back at 12 o'clock. And at that time, Debbie will cover the bid forms.
And we're a little bit ahead of our schedule. So even though the agenda says that the break will be from 12 to 12:10, we will reconvene and continue on with this webcast at 12 o'clock.
So we will see you then.
Okay, our 10-minute break is over and we're back together again. This is Debbie. And I just want to say that the first half of this webinar was a time for Bunny to focus on the scope of work in our invitation to bid and to help bidders get a sense of what we're looking for. She talked a little bit about the requested solutions and spent some time talking about the timeline. So now we're at a place in the webinar where I want to talk about what you need to do in order to bid successfully. So this next leg is all about increasing your likelihood of being awarded a bid. In order to be awarded a bid, as you know, you have to provide evidence that you're a responsive, responsible bidder and meet all the material requirements of our invitation to bid. We set up the bid forms in a specific way in order for you to bid, and that is so that we can compare bids and identify the bids that are competitive with each other. So in this next leg, I'm going to show you how to use the bid forms. I'm going to actually provide a little bit more information about the bid forms, and I'm going to demonstrate how to use the bid forms. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to submit your bid form, or I'm sorry, your entire bid, all of your materials. And finally, we'll get back to talking about the bid evaluation. And I think that's where some of you who have already asked questions about the bid evaluation will get your questions answered. And if you don't, make sure you start thinking about writing them down and getting those put into the question box. So if you'll turn to page 7 in the invitation to bid, I know that Bunny has gone over a lot of this with you, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about what's on pages 7 and 8, but I do want to remind you that we are looking for custom catalogs for Chromebooks and related solutions. And so all we want from each bidder that decides to bid in response to this invitation to bid is a single bid for your catalog. Now you'll use all the bid forms or some of the bid forms in the Excel spreadsheet, but you'll only submit the spreadsheet once. And that's way different than in the past where you use the same spreadsheet and offered several different bids on several different items. So, so that's all spelled out. And I do want to, again, have you get really clear about the 3 different ways that you can, the 3 different options that you have in bidding. And they're spelled out in section 2.0 in the bottom half of page 7. And Bunny and I already went over those options once, and I'll talk about them again when I demonstrate the bid form. I'll also show you how to duplicate a bid form when it's required, and that's coming up in the demonstration part. So let's go ahead and take a look at, let's see, we've talked about general information about the bid forms on pages 7 and 8. Now I want to turn our attention to the actual bid form and demonstrate it. So let me find it here. And here it is. And you'll see it on the screen. And the bid form starts, when I say bid form, it's really the Excel spreadsheet that has several bid forms in it. And there are 3 different colors of tabs at the bottom in this set of bid forms. There are the blue tabs that give us information about the bidder. And then there are the green tabs. I'm going to pull those up real quick. They're all here. Okay. And these green tabs, just hang tight here. Here are the 4 green tabs that you see at the bottom of your screen. And this is where Bunny and I really want to emphasize that if you bid an item on any one of these 4 green tabs, you have to bid on all 4 of those green tabs. If you cannot offer Chromebooks and related solutions by a single manufacturer and the Chrome OS management licenses and white glove services and third-party carts, if you can't offer all of those in your bid, you may not bid on any of those. And I don't know how else to say it. Okay? So, there's a reason for that. Again, we're bidding on behalf of the purchasers, and we want the purchasers to be able to go to their favorite desired vendor and get all of these solutions in a single transaction, or in a single discussion as a result of a single conversation. We're trying to eliminate the need for them to go to one vendor for one of these 4 solutions and another vendor for another. It's just almost impossible. And the purchasers really like to be able to get all of these 4 solutions from the same vendor. So can you think of anything to add to that?
No.
Okay. So that's an overview of the green tabs. Now, there are also a series of, I don't know, 5 or 6, maybe 7, what Bunny calls orange tabs and I call pink tabs. So either one of us is colorblind or we have a different idea of what orange and pink are, but whatever color you're calling these are separate from the green tabs, and they are not treated like the green tabs. A bidder who bids on the green tabs may also bid on the pink tabs, or make offers on solutions that are on the requested on the pink tabs. Once you enter into the pink tab section of the spreadsheet, you don't have to offer everything. You can pick the ones that your company offers and fill out the spreadsheet, fill out the form for that tab. So if you're a company that doesn't offer extended warranties, but you offer third-party wireless LAN solutions, then you can fill out the form for third-party wireless LAN solutions. And maybe you don't offer smarter balanced solutions, but you also, in addition to the wireless LAN solutions, you offer the management platforms for Google Apps for Education. So for the pink ones, you can choose any or all of the pink ones.
Or orange, whichever you prefer.
Or orange, okay, yeah, that's true. And again, just to emphasize, in order to fill out the pink ones, you do not have to be able to fill out any of the green ones. Okay? All right. Let's start back here with the blue forms. The blue forms are labeled Form A, Form B, Form C, and Form D. And if you've bid on the DigitalEdge contract before, these are going to look very familiar. As I pull up Form A is all about just getting information about who you are. And you only have to fill this out once. This is a spreadsheet and it's a form. Just click and type in each of these cells. And then scrolling on down, in this second section, underneath a purple stripe or a lavender stripe, please tell us, please identify the nature of who you are as a bidder. Are you an authorized reseller? Are you a manufacturer that's going to provide your own products in this bid? Or are you a manufacturer that is going to commission resellers to meet the bid requirements? And you just mark one of those. So I'm just going to demonstrate the marking of one. Then coming on down the Form A a little bit more, please mark all of the states with an X that you're going to offer your solutions in. You must be able to provide evidence that you are authorized by Google to sell the Chrome OS management license if you're making an offer on that. If you're making an offer on that and you put the word no here, your bid will be rejected, because in order to sell the Chrome OS management license, you do have to be authorized. Okay, this next section down, other states, you will not be rejected if you put the word no here, but this particular section of Form A is related to this section that you see me moving my cursor over. Over here on the left, you identified the states that you are willing to offer your custom Chromebook catalog in. But are you willing to offer your pricing through the DigitalEdge contract in states other than the ones that you listed over here? Admin fees will apply. Just want to make sure you know that. But the answer is either yes or no, and it has no bearing on whether or not your bid will be awarded. We just want to know, because if you say no at this point in the game, then we're ready for that. If you say yes, and somebody from Texas wants to buy off this contract, we know that, and they are coming to you, we know that you have thought through that and are willing to make a sale to a purchaser in Texas. I'm going to skip the final bid score for right now. I'll come back to it in a minute. We really want bidders that are interested in responding to this invitation to bid to think ahead, because we know that this is an industry right now that is changing so quickly that as soon as we award contracts in the middle of June, there will be other solutions that come along that either, number one, we don't know about, or number two, you may not have agreements with those manufacturers. You are bidding on your custom Chromebook catalog at this point in time. But these questions really ask you to focus to the future. Do you wish to have the flexibility to add other Chromebooks, Chromeboxes, and related solutions to the contract that emerge in the future by another manufacturer that maybe you don't have an agreement with yet? So if you do, put a yes there. If you don't, put a no. But if you put a no there, and then 6 months from now, you say, hey, we just developed an agreement with XYZ company, can we get that company on the contract? Bunny will come back to your Form A and we'll look for your yes or no, and if it says no, we'll have to deny your request to add other manufacturers to the contract. Okay? If you say yes to question number 1 in rows 36 and 37, then it's a little bit of I know we're pushing you a little bit on question number 2, but what would be your minimum price adjustment that you would apply to that unknown manufacturer's product line? And you can be conservative. We don't care, but we need to ask you to establish a baseline price adjustment in terms of a percentage. It can either be a markup or a discount, but what would that be in terms of these unknown solutions that you might be adding in the future? Okay, I suggest you be conservative because you don't know what those solutions or what those manufacturers might be that would emerge. Can you think of anything else about that I haven't covered?
No.
Okay.
But I do want to, one thing I do want to specify in there is the positive number for the markup method is the markup over cost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And these two questions that discussed really refer to only the products bid in the green tabs, not in the pink tabs. Okay? So let's come back up here now. I'm going to move upward a little bit to this final bid score. In years past, the spreadsheet has calculated the final bid score for the bidders and put it in here, but this year we're going to have to hand calculate it, and that's because we're going to allow you to add more sheets to this entire Microsoft Excel workbook. And when you add more sheets, we can't write a formula that includes the scores of any of the sheets you add. So we'll have to do that manually. And we'll do that at the time that we're looking at your bid. Okay, Form B, inside contacts. We just need to know right up front who your key contact is with these particular responsibilities. And so in these empty cells, please provide the information we're looking for. Now you'll notice that you cannot click in some of these cells, and I guess I did forget to say that this worksheet and this workbook is protected, and so we only want you to be providing responses in certain cells, and so we left the cells unlocked if we want you to write something in those cells. Form C provides us information about who your sales force is. So please start by filling in the name of the bidding company and then identify all of the contact information for the people who are on your sales force in the different states in which you're bidding. Do you want to say anything else about that, Bunny?
This information is mirrored on our DigitalEdge website. There's a page where I can input everything for the region and all the contact information for all of your sales force. So it is important to have this on here so our records for the purchaser are very accurate.
Form D is for those bidders that are commissioning other agents to carry out the requirements of the contract, and this really pertains to the division of work. We want to know who is going to do what. So if you're a bidder that's maybe a manufacturer, but you're going to assign the contract to various resellers or other agents, who will be the person who meets with the DigitalEdge team to review the post-award contract requirements? Maybe it's the bidder, so we'll put an X there. And who will provide the certificate of insurance to Bunny? And maybe it's the agent, so you put an X there. And all of these must be filled out. All of those 12 items must be filled out, printed out, and included in your notebook.
One thing I'd like to interject here is you'll notice farther down on the form it talks about on line 16 about submitting the sales reports and the monthly payments. This needs to be from the same single source. So who submits the sales report also has to submit the administration fee, and this is outlined in the post-award segment in the contract.
Okay. So those are kind of the 4 preliminary forms that let us get to know you as bidders and how you intend to operate. Okay. So now let's talk about these 4 green mysterious tabs. Okay. Again, coming back to these are the 4 tabs that if you offer a solution on any one of the 4 tabs, you have to offer solutions on all of them. And our forms are set up so that you start with your the name of your bidding company up here at the top. I'm off to a forced start because my fingers aren't on the right keys. And if you tab over, it'll tab over to the next open cell. And notice that I am on the tab that's called, the green tab called Chromebooks and Related Solutions by a single manufacturer. Now, before you fill out any more of this form, I recommend that you think ahead. You might be a reseller that sells ASUS Chromebooks and Samsung and Toshiba and Lenovo and all. And this particular spreadsheet is for the Chromebooks and related solutions by only one manufacturer. So before you fill out this form, you would go to Appendix D at the end of your invitation to bid, and it will give you instructions if you don't know how to copy and duplicate a worksheet in an Excel file. It gives you instructions on how to do that. And I'm going to demonstrate it real quick here. Let's say that I'm a reseller and I want to make offers on Chromebooks and related solutions by Samsung and Toshiba. Well, I'm going to use this form, but I need to duplicate it. And one of the forms will be for the Samsung line and one will be for the Toshiba line. So I'm going to right-click on the tab and just move up to the command called Move or Copy. And I'll get this little dialog box. And I want to make sure I place a check mark in Create a Copy. And I want to move that particular, I want to move the copy down, let's see, before the sheet called Chrome OS Management Licenses. Okay, so once I select that, then I click OK. And now I've got two green tabs for Chromebooks and related solutions by a single manufacturer. I'm going to come back to the first tab, the original one I had. I'm going to call that one, I'm going to replace the single manufacturer with the word Samsung, because that's one of the manufacturers that I want to include in my offer. And on the second one, I'm going to replace this last part of the template name with Toshiba. And when I choose these names for the purposes of this webinar, it's not that I'm necessarily looking for those particular manufacturer brands. They're just for the sake of demonstration. Okay, now if you had another one, maybe you wanted to offer Lenovo, you would again move or copy, make create a copy of it, and move the copy down in front of the tab called Chrome OS Management Licenses, and click OK. And then again, this one would be, would I say Lenovo? Lenovo. Okay. Lenovo. Okay. Now you've created three tabs for the three Chrome OS devices that you want to put into your catalog. Okay. So now you come back to the Samsung one and you start filling out your form for the Chromebooks and related solutions by Samsung. So manufacturer up here is Samsung, up in the first row. I'm at the top of the sheet. Okay. And the final category score on this sheet is automatically calculated by adding the final bid prices in section 1. And I'm going to demonstrate how that works. Okay. Let's say that in the Samsung line, there's a product whose number, Bunny, do you mind if I move this closer to me? No. Okay. Moving my laptop a little bit closer. There's a product in the product line whose product number is this. And the product name is Chromebook Model 1. And that, as a reseller, I know that that is probably the Chromebook in the Samsung line that I'm going to really push. The customers across the region continually express interest in it and want it. And so I'm going to, I don't know, my method of price adjustment is a discount from a price sheet. And let's talk about that a little bit. We don't, sometimes bidders like to use the MSRP and sometimes they like to use the education list. We don't care what price sheet you're using. because at the end of the day, you're going to make a price adjustment from that model on your price sheet. I'm going to put, as an example, an 18% discount from whatever price that model is on whatever price sheet you're using. And when I press tab, the price of that model on your price sheet is $300. And the spreadsheet will calculate the final bid price here. And notice that as soon as it calculated a final bid price here, it gave me the first of what's becoming a score up here in cell H1. Now, what's the normal education price if different from column F? Well, the normal education price of that is $310. We want to know that you're offering a better price than what our purchasers can normally get that for. If it's the same, if you're offering a price that's the same as their normal education price, sometimes that's the best you can do, and you would just put the word same in that. Okay? And then can you provide this, can you provide evidence this price is lower than the normal education pricing? Type yes or no. Hopefully the answer is yes. If it's no, then type no, but it's the same. Okay. All right. And then you come down to here and you type in the next product, and this is going to be 6790. Now, what I'm doing is I'm filling out section 1. If you look at the blue stripe up here, this is section 1. And section 1 contains the products in the Samsung line that you want to offer with the most competitive price adjustment. And so you know that there's another Chromebook model that's very popular too, and you really want to push that. And so you're going to offer a 25% discount. Again, these are just fictitious placeholders. And the normal price of that Chromebook, number 2, is $279. And so the spreadsheet calculates the price for that, and that is now added to your score up here. The normal price is $299, and yes, it's better. The bid price is better than the educational price. Okay, and then there's one more product. If I'm the bidder and I'm just creating a scenario here, there's one more product in the Samsung line that is related to the Chromebooks, to all the Chromebooks, and that's, I don't even know if this is true or not, but again, this is just a fictitious scenario. Let's say that Samsung offers a wireless mouse for Chromebooks or Chromeboxes. And you're going to give that a 40% discount, and the normal price is $30, and so the bid price is calculated, and it is calculated into the score for this sheet up here. Oops, oh, that was a markup. Oh, okay, I just made an error there, and I didn't mean to mark that as a discount, but you'll notice I failed to put in the minus sign, so that ended up to look like a markup. If it's a discount, use the minus sign along with the price adjustment. If it's a markup, don't use a minus sign. And so I'm going to go up here and fix this. I'm going to go up to the formula bar and put a minus sign in there, and now that indicates that I have corrected that error, and now that reflects a discount from the baseline pricing. Okay. Okay, and the normal education price in this case is the same as the price in column E, and the answer over here is yes. So hopefully you're getting a sense now of how to complete this worksheet. This is for the Samsung Chromebooks and related solutions. That's section 1, and you continue to put your most competitively bid products or solutions from Samsung in section 1. And whatever solutions you put up here, you can't just go and grab a Samsung dishwasher or a Samsung hair dryer or anything like that, because they have to be related to Chromebooks. This is Chromebooks and related solutions by a single manufacturer. Now, if you can justify that you have a Samsung flat panel display and that there's a way to project the teacher's Samsung Chromebook onto that display, that's perfectly fine. Okay, coming down here then to section 2. Section 2 refers to a single price adjustment that you will make on all of the remaining products that by Samsung that is in your educational portfolio or whatever you're using that you want to include in your custom Chromebook catalog, but that you're not including in section 1. So if there are other Chromebooks and other devices that you want to include, but you don't want to price them as competitively with such competitive price adjustments like you did up here, then indicate what is the price adjustment for the remaining products by that manufacturer. And that will tell us how you plan on pricing all of the other products. Now notice that when I said minus 5% here, that is not a part of the bid score. The bid score only comes from the items that you list in section 1. And specifically, the bid score for this sheet only is calculated from adding the final bid prices in column F for the items that you listed in section 1. Okay. Now, remember, in this scenario, this is a bidder who wants to offer Samsung Chromebooks and related solutions, Toshiba Chromebooks and related solutions. So I'd put Toshiba up here, and Lenovo. So on this worksheet, I would put Lenovo. And I need to fill out these Toshiba and Lenovo forms just like I did with the Samsung forms, making the decisions about what I want to price most competitively in section 1, and then providing a single price adjustment on all of the remaining products.
Can I interject one thing?
Absolutely.
Just wanted to make sure that you noted that once an item is in section 1 at the most aggressive percentage that you're going to put it in, it cannot be moved down to section 2 as we go forward. So be sure to put your most aggressively priced items in section 1.
Okay. For Chrome OS management licenses, this is single unit pricing. There might be a product number. Put your product name here and fill this out. And we're only asking for one price, and that's on a single unit. White glove services, different vendors offer different white glove services. There is no manufacturer related to white glove services to our knowledge. But make sure you put your bidding company up here in this field right here. And then put, if you have a SKU number or product number or whatever, put the product number for that, and then put your white glove service in column C. Okay? And then again, the price adjustment, use a negative number for a discount, a positive number for a markup, and use your baseline pricing to apply that price adjustment to. Okay? And you're going to fill this out just like you did on the other worksheets I demonstrated. You'll notice that for white glove services, there's no section 2. We want to know what your price is for white glove services. You list your laser etching, your auto enrollment, your painting, your, can't think of some other ones. List all of your white glove services on this page. And then, of course, if you have offered Chromebooks and OS licenses and white glove services, you must also offer carts. Now, if Samsung offers a cart, then please put the Samsung cart on the Samsung page back here, because it would be a related solution by Samsung. And again, I don't know if they do or not, but if they do, the Samsung cart would go on the Samsung page. However, if you're a bidder bidding on Samsung and Lenovo and Toshiba, and you want to offer a Bretford cart and Anthro carts and Bolt carts, then and AverMedia carts, you list them, all of the third-party carts, here on this page. Okay? So you would list the manufacturer and then the product name and number, and fill out the rest of the form in the same way. And we gave you quite a lot of space on this one because there might be different carts that you want to price most aggressively. But again, down here, if you list 2 Bretford carts up here in section 1, but you want to offer the other Google charging or syncing carts from Bretford at a baseline or a single discount or markup, then come down here and put Bretford for your manufacturer down here in section 2. Well, pretend like that says Bretford. And your price adjustment on those would be a 17% discount, for example. Okay? I guess I'll correct that just to make it look good on the video there. Okay? So you'll list your most aggressive Bretford carts up here, and then kind of a single price adjustment for all of the remaining Bretford carts for Chromebooks and Chrome OSs. So, okay, and remember, you can put more than one manufacturer on this page. Okay. So that concludes the demonstration on the green tabs. Now let's move over to the pink tabs. Before we do, if you want to stop at this point and this is all you want to include in your Chromebook catalog are these solutions on these 4 tabs, great. That is your option. And we're not going to tell you what you have to offer and what you can't offer. If you want to stop here and submit your bid, that's great. But if you want to offer solutions on these 4 tabs and continue on with the pink tabs, great, or the orange tabs. That's great too. And at the same time, if you're a bidder that can't offer bids on the solutions for the green tabs, but you have solutions that fit in one of these pink tab categories, feel free to go ahead and fill out the ones that are pertinent to what you can offer. And in this category, third-party carts, again, just read the description and the requirements, and go ahead and list the manufacturers. Again, you can list Bretford and cart number 1 here, and then you can list Anthro, Anthro, and you can list their cart number 1 for Anthro, and you can list Bolt and cart number 1, whatever cart you want to offer. And you can list as many Bretfords, as many Anthros, as many Bolts, or whatever manufacturers you want to offer. Whatever you don't list up here, though, you have to list, you have to identify a single price adjustment for the remaining carts, Chromebook carts, in the manufacturer lines that you offered up here. So if we look at this form and we see 3 manufacturer lines listed up here, we better see 3 manufacturer lines listed down here in section 2. Okay? And again, just a reminder that the scores up here in cell H1 are calculated by adding the scores only in section 1 by adding the prices in section 1. Okay, that's how the scores are calculated. There is no score for section 2. And all of the pink tabs are filled out in that manner. Now, if you get to a workshop, I'm sorry, not a workshop, a worksheet that has only section 1 and there is no section 2, that means that we want you to list everything up in section 1, okay, that you're offering in your bid. And if you know of a solution that you could sell that would improve, enhance, or extend the use of Chrome OS devices, but the solution that you would like to offer isn't in one of the categories that are listed in these pink tabs, then put your solution that you'd like to make an offer on this last tab called Additional Third-Party Solutions and Services. Okay? So maybe there's a cool little gizmo gadget type thing for Chromebooks that we don't even know about, but you do. And it's not really identified on any of these other tabs. Then put it on this last tab. Okay? So we've really tried to provide you a lot of flexibility to build your catalog in a way that meets your needs and meets the needs of the purchasers, giving you the flexibility to add new products as they emerge and giving you the flexibility to add new manufacturers as you develop new agreements with future manufacturers. That's really what I had wanted to emphasize here. So a couple of things. I just wanted to go back and ask you to look at your invitation to bid on page 9. You do need to remember that your bid prices, whatever you end up with a bid price, must include the items in section 3.6 on page 9 of the invitation to bid. A contract fee of 1.5%. They must include the shipping and handling, and the shipping must be FOB destination, with one exception. Carts and cart supplies can be very, very expensive to ship. So your bid prices for the carts do not need to include shipping and handling. And then what other overhead costs you need to factor in. Make sure that you read what your bid prices do and do not include in sections 3.6 through 3.8. Okay?
I have one question, Debbie.
Yeah.
If they want to copy one of the orange tab sheets,
Yes.
Do they have the ability to do so?
Yes, they sure do. They sure do. Any of these sheets can be reproduced in the same way by just right-clicking on the name of the tab, going up to Move or Copy, making sure they select Create a Copy, and then moving it to a location right next to the original and before the next category. Okay? All right. And that way, if they run out of spaces on the first sheet, they can continue on the duplicated sheet. Good question. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Now, back here, when we talk about scores, if you remember, the reason we have to hand score these is because we don't know how many extra sheets you're going to add in to your bid forms. And so there was no way that we could write a formula for this cell right here without knowing how many sheets you're going to add. That's why we have to hand score these. Okay? Can you think of anything else to mention about the scoring?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move along here and come back to this. We've talked about general information about the bid forms. We've now talked about how to use the bid forms. I want to talk about your bid submission a little bit. When you're done using the bid forms and you've got all your pricing done and you print out all of your bid forms, there's a certain way we'd like you to package this. And you're probably thinking, man, these people at DigitalEdge, they're pretty picky. But it really helps us to expedite the process if we know where to look for certain things. So one, if you look at the items listed on page 11, and Bunny I think already talked about those, we'd like all of those to be in a 3-ring binder. Then we need a sealed envelope for the items on page 12 of the invitation to bid. And if that envelope just gets too stuffed with everything, then you can separate each of the 3 items on page 12 into their own envelopes. So we're not going to be so picky that we won't work with you on that. We just need the envelopes to be sealed. If nothing else, make sure they're sealed. Okay? Would we reject a bid if there were 15 envelopes? No. Would we reject a bid if the envelopes aren't sealed? We may have to. So make sure they're sealed. Okay?
Can I interject one thing
Oh,
here?
sure, yes.
One thing that is noted at the top of page 12 is to be sure to write the name of the bidder's company on the outside of the envelopes. And that's just very important, especially if you put in more than one envelope. It helps us keep track of everything.
Yeah. And then a CD or jump drive that contains all the required materials listed on pages 11 and 12. I did want to go back to something on page 12. The last item in section 2.0 on page 12 says evidence of how products support or enhance the use of Chrome OS devices. You might know how your solution supports Chrome OS devices in the classroom, but it may not be readily apparent to us. So if you're going to submit a camera, again, it's just a placeholder for some unknown item, but if you're going to submit a camera in your bid, in your custom catalog, we'd like to know why you're submitting that camera and how it supports, enhances, improves, or extends the use of Chrome iOS devices. And so that's what we're asking for in that third item on page 12 under section 2.0. Once you have your binder assembled and all of your envelopes sealed and your CD or jump drive created with all of the electronic materials requested, please pack them up into a box and then ship them to us here at the DigitalEdge according to the instructions on pages, what page is that on, Bunny?
It's at the
It's at the beginning of it, isn't it? Yeah.
It's on page 3 of the invitation to bid.
Okay. So that should be a nice visual. If you want to take a screen snap of that, that's great. You'll also see it on the video if you want to watch this whole best-selling video again some night. Anyway, so there you go. That's how we would like for you to pack and submit your bids. So we've talked about general information about the bid forms, how to use the bid forms, and now how to submit the bid. I know you're probably interested in how is this going to work for us to evaluate these bids? How competitive is it going to be? You know, there are just so many different factors, and how are we going to award bids to custom catalogs that are so different? We really wrestled with that and think we came up with a very valid and very fair solution. And it's a three-step process. Once we receive your bids and we're in the evaluation phase, we'll conduct an initial screening, which is described on pages 13 and 14 in section 1, and we will make sure that you have met all of those requirements. And I'm not going to list those right now, but you can read those. Then on the second section, or the second step of the evaluation process, is to identify which bids are non-competitive. In other words, which bidders have submitted bids that are so unique that they cannot be compared with any other bid. Now that means a catalog that's unlike any other catalog that has been submitted. And when I say unlike any other catalog, it's a non-competitive, let me say it different. It would only be a competitive bid if two bidders bid exactly the same manufacturers on in identical categories throughout their bid forms. So, and I'm not just talking about the green tabs, I'm talking about the green and pink tabs. If one bidder's bid is, notice I'm not talking about model numbers, but if one bidder bids Samsung, Toshiba, and Lenovo, and the Anthro carts and the Bretford carts and the AverMedia carts and the Vault carts, and then the exact same manufacturers on all of the pink tabs, then we're going to be comparing those two bids. But if they're not exactly the same, if your catalogs are not exactly the same and don't include exactly the same bidders in each of the different tabs, we will consider them non-competitive.
The same manufacturers in each of
What
the
did I say?
bidders.
Okay, I better say that over again just to make sure I said it correctly because I don't want any confusion. What did I say? What was I talking about?
Comparing manufacturers to manufacturers.
Yes. If two bids, if two catalogs from two different bidders have the same manufacturers on the same worksheets in an identical way, we're not talking about products, we're just talking about manufacturers, then we will consider those two bids competitive, and we'll evaluate them, we'll compare them, and we'll award to the lowest bidder. Otherwise, we'll consider them non-competitive. Bunny, check me. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So the first step is to conduct the initial screening. The second step is to identify the non-competitive bids. And the third step then is to take the bids that we do identify as competitive, and we're going to look at those, and we're going to use some recording sheets, and we're going to record the manufacturers that are listed on each of your bid sheets in the forms. And then we're going to look at how many solutions are offered in Section 1 on all of your bid forms in totality. And in that case, the bidder with the most solutions offered in Section 1 in the bid forms, which of course that section is the most competitively priced section of the bid forms, will receive the award. If again, at that point, the two competitive bids are tied, then the award will go to the bidder with the lowest score on Form A. And that's where the scores finally kick in, is that at the end of the day, if we get to that point, and we've had to go that far with two competitive bids, the bidder with the lowest score will receive the award for that competitive bid. Okay? So, I hope that I made that really clear, and I will be able to tell by the questions if I made that clear or not. So, did you have something to add?
Yeah, as you're finishing there, I'm thinking of one thing. One thing
Yes.
when we do the evaluation on the competitive bids, if you are a bidder that has the lowest score, but you only have 10 states that you can supply those products in and that you designated, and the next bidder that would have been the second one to get awarded, if they can provide it for the other 2 states that you could not, then they would be awarded those remaining states.
Good. And that's only for the competitive
Only
bids?
for the competitive bids.
Right. Okay. So let's see how much confusion we created here. We're going to go into a question and answer section here. So let me pull out the questions. Now it looks like we have a number of people that have questions. Let's see if we can get them answered. Blue section. Okay, that means, I'm sure that means the first 4 forms in the. Can we bid direct as a manufacturer and have dealers? You said choose one. Yes, choose one, please. Our experience is that it's too confusing to be both a manufacturer that's trying to carry this out and have dealers. So we want you to submit your reports and pay your admin fees from a single source. And so we do need you to either, you can bid as a manufacturer but assign the contract to dealers, or you can carry out the contract yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yes, you can bid it directly as a manufacturer and then assign it to dealers.
Our territory may vary by manufacturer. How can we designate states by manufacturer? Ooh, that's something we need to think about. That's a good question. Our territory may vary by manufacturer. How can we designate states by manufacturer? I have an idea to answer the question. Our territory may vary by manufacturer. How can we designate states by manufacturer? Such a great question. I'm not going to answer it here on the video, on the webinar, because I wanted to discuss it with Bunny. But that answer will appear in the questions and answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? So, okay. Next question. Is shipping included in the final bid price? And as we said, yes, it is in most products with the exception of the carts and cart accessories. Shipping must be FOB destination. Is there a section 2 on a tab? Oh, if there is a section 2 on a tab, do you want part number and descriptions listed or just percentage off? Well, remember section 2 on a tab is all about the products that you didn't include in section 1, and you just want to make it easy and assign a single price adjustment for the remaining products that aren't in section 1. So no, we don't need part numbers or descriptions. We just want to know what your price adjustment is going to be in section 2. After you bid and after awards are made, we will want to know what are the products in section 2 that you have applied a single price adjustment on. But for right now, in this bid phase, we don't know. We don't need to know what those products are.
And one thing just to interject here, the items that are listed in section 1 are going to be the feature items that I put on the website.
Good. Yeah.
I don't think we mentioned that yet, but that may also come into bear with what you're going to submit.
Yeah. If we didn't answer that well enough, please ask us again, because we do want you to go away from here with real clear answers if we can provide them. How do we add items to Section 2 on the Chromebook and related solutions? You don't add items to Section 2. You don't add products. You add a single discount to the remaining products that aren't listed in Section 1 by that manufacturer. For third-party carts, can we designate a different percentage off by manufacturer in Section 2 of the worksheet, or do all other products by each manufacturer have to be the same? Good question. No. In Section 2 of the bid forms for third-party carts, if you have offered Anthro and Bretford and Balt up in Section 1, then you have to include them in Section 2, and they don't all have to have the same price adjustment in Section 2. You can offer Balt at a 5% discount and Anthro at a 10% discount for the remaining products in by those manufacturers in Section 2. So, in other words, the price adjustment for each manufacturer in Section 2 can vary. Please clarify, this is the next question, please clarify what price sheet we are to base our pricing on. Great question. We don't care, because your bid score for a worksheet is based on the price that you end up with for the items in Section 1. We don't care if you're using your cost sheet from the manufacturer. In that case, you would bid markup over cost. We don't care if you're using MSRP and offering a discount from the MSRP, or maybe you're offering a different price sheet maybe you're offering a price adjustment from a different price sheet of a different nature. We don't care what price sheet you're using as baseline pricing. But there, I want to make 2 points. Again, your bid score is based on the final bid price that ends up showing on the bid form. And number 2, whatever price sheet you use as baseline pricing during this invitation to bid process will be the same price sheet you use from this point on, even after you're awarded a contract.
Correct.
Yeah.
And just to interject here, that the question on the bid form that you have to answer is that your pricing is more competitive than educational pricing, the price that you're offering.
Okay, we're coming down to the final questions. Make sure you get your questions in if you want to ask them. And we've got 3 more at this point, but we'll take more if you think of another one. The next question is, what if we wanted to run a promotion at a lower price after the bid has been awarded? Can we do that? Oh, yes, of course you can, through our DigitalEdge Power Deals. And Power Deals are special promotions that have a start and end date, and they're still run through the contract, but we'll advertise them as a power deal, and you'll work with Bunny to establish your power deal price, and we'll help you with that. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer will come after the awards are made. But it is described briefly in our invitation to bid.
It's in the post-awards for the contract.
Okay, it's in the post-awards for the contract. Okay. All right. How exactly do you track the volume of sales made from the contract, from this contract to the reseller? Is the sales tracking solely the responsibility of the reseller? Some co-ops require POs to be sent to both the reseller and the co-op. That's a really good question, and we used to do that, and at some point, if we deem it necessary, we may come back and revisit that. But for right now, we're running some pretty successful contracts without requiring the reseller or the purchaser to send us a copy of the quote or the purchasing document, whether it's a purchase order or a visa requisition or whatever. So suffice it to say, it's solely by the honor system, but we reserve the right to do not mandatory, but random audits. When we see a red flag or when we just want to know if things are going as we had planned. So can you think of anything else to say?
Really, yeah, just to interject that it's outlined in the post-award section also, but it is your responsibility as an awarded vendor, if you become an awarded vendor, to make sure that the purchaser notes on their purchasing document the contract for DigitalEdge that they are purchasing from. So, and this is to help with auditing issues, and also it helps in tracking the sales as well. And that's outlined in the post-award section of the contract when we get to that point.
Good. Okay, the questions are continuing to come in, so we'll continue answering them. A bidder may be deemed in the non-competitive status by simply adding an important product that no other dealer is bidding. I guess you could interpret it like that. The last question that we have at this point in time is this question. How do you award the non-competitive bids? If two bidders choose the same brand of Chromebook but offer different third-party choices, what happens? And that is such a great question to tie up, or to kind of swing back around to the goals of this contract. Because if you remember, Bunny shared the two goals of the contract of this new invitation to bid at the beginning. And the second goal is listed on page 5 toward the top in the second bullet, to increase the efficiency of the procurement process for eligible purchasers by providing them a list of vendors who have been awarded contracts for their custom catalogs through a competitive bid process, thereby reducing the need for purchasers to go to several vendors to make their purchases. So I wanted to start by rereading that goal because it's relevant to this question. And again, the question is, how do you award the non-competitive bids if two bidders choose the same brand of Chromebook but offer different third-party choices? What happens? In that case, those are not competitive bids, because they're not offering the same third-party choices. So those catalogs are different, and they would be non-competitive. And that benefits our purchasers, because now they can go to the reseller that they really like, that they have relationships with, or that's down the street from their school administration building, or whatever the case may be. They can choose the custom Chromebook catalog that best meets their needs. So we're not worried about whether or not two custom catalogs offer exactly the same manufacturers in all of the identical categories, because we're looking for really solid, comprehensive catalogs with a variety of solutions in them. And I hope that answers your question. No more questions have come in, so let's end this party, okay?
But just to remind you that you have until Friday to email further questions to myself, and they will be answered and addressed on the website.
Okay. Okay. As we bring this to a close, I want to share the DigitalEdge's philosophy about how a really successful contract works. And we know this to be true because it's played out for years and years and years. In our contracts, like in most contracts, there are three primary parties. One is the purchaser, and we're seeking bids on behalf of the purchasers, and the purchasers are described in the invitation to bid. The second party, of course, will be those bidders that receive awards for contracts. And the third party is the DigitalEdge operation here at the ESD 112 in Vancouver, Washington. And I put those three parties on a kind of this balancing device to represent a successful contract. When every one of these three parties is getting what they need out of this contract, when the purchasers are getting really good prices through competitively bid contracts that helps them meet their purchasing laws, and when the when the awarded bidders are selling lots of products because they're an awarded bidder, and when the DigitalEdge is realizing the revenue that comes from your admin fees so that we can administrate this contract and support the operation, when those three things are happening, then we feel like we have a very balanced, very healthy scenario, and everybody's getting what they need, and those are the contracts that really are successful. When one of these parties is getting an advantage at the expense of the other two, then we have to say, whoa, we have to figure out how to get this back in balance. So we're very proud of the fact that we have a very strong partnership with our bidders, and that we feel like we maintain the equilibrium in this particular partnership pretty well. Do you want to talk a little bit about the app before we close up shop?
The DigitalEdge app is a very useful tool as a vendor to have on your mobile device. And you can download this DigitalEdge app through Apple or Google Play. Basically, the website is in the palm of your hand. We have everything there from our power deals. When you swipe the screen, the next screen is going to give you a lot of different tiles that have the option, and that is also where the YouTube tile is, and this video recording will be downloaded on the app as well. But it is a very useful tool, and when I send out power deal notifications or any other notification, you will receive it immediately. Okay, so now it's time to close up shop. During this website, we covered the highlights of the invitation to bid and tried to give you a good overview of what is required in submitting a bid, as well as covering the bid forms. We are recording this webinar, and it will be posted on the Invitation to Bid webpage, as well as some other sources that I'll cover on the next slide. Ongoing questions, answers, and addenda will be posted onto the web page as well. And the web page, again, where these are posted are under the For Vendors tab on the DigitalEdge web page. And the first selection that you can make on that tab is for the 15A invitation to bid. And all of this information is there. So we encourage you to read the entire invitation to bid and the contract to develop a complete understanding of all the contents and the requirements prior to submitting your bid, and to help you determine whether this invitation to bid is right for your company. And Debbie and I feel like we developed a very strong invitation to bid that will allow a lot of flexibility, so we hope it will be right for your company. It is crucial to check the website up until the time when you send your, well, the addenda will be last posted on Monday, May 4th, but it is crucial to keep checking the website.
And let's see, the last day that they can ask questions is this Friday.
It's this Friday, which is May 1st.
And Monday will be the last day for any new questions or any new addenda to appear on the website.
Correct.
And after that point, nothing on in that section of the website will change.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Good.
And these are the other sources where you will be able to find today's Virtual Bidder Conference recording. I'll send it out on through Twitter. The YouTube channel will be on our app, and also through Facebook. So you can look at it there, in addition to the web page that we spoke about. And we want to thank you for coming today and wish you luck on submitting your bid, and we hope that you will find it to be an invitation to bid that you want to respond to.
Yes, and we certainly hope that you do respond to it, and we look forward to hearing from you. Make sure you stay in touch with Bunny and let her know if you're going to submit a bid so that we can be looking for it. Our agency is big. Sometimes the bids come in through the front door. Sometimes they come in through the loading dock. And if we know that they're coming from your company, we start looking for them. So can you add any more to that, Bunny?
That is just very helpful. It is very helpful, so I will encourage you to do that.
All right. Thanks again, and have a great day, and we'll look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.